Everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here. I'm John Sneisen, and we've seen the tech bubble burst in the past, and it looks like it will burst again as Morgan Stanley announced, and this is from a Zero Hedge article, the tech bubble can burst at any moment without warning. And as the article goes into, earlier this week, Goldman Sachs, whose market timing calls leave much to be desired, declared that tech stocks are not a bubble and went so far as to predict that the secular increase in tech names could continue for decades, spawning vivid memories of Goldman's May 2008 prediction of $200 oil just months before the start of the Second Great Depression and before oil crashed more than $100 a barrel, wiping out a generation of Muppets. However, it is now safe to say that with the exception of some truly naive individuals, virtually nobody believes Goldman anymore, and thus Goldman's all clear may be just the top tick so many had been waiting for. One skeptic is Bank of America's Michael Hartnett, who back in March, just as the tech sector suffered its first big rout of 2018, had the gall to tell the truth and observe that the e-commerce sector, which consists of Amazon, Netflix, Google, Twitter, eBay, and Facebook, was now up 617% since the financial crisis, making it the third largest bubble of the past 40 years, and at this rate, assuming no major drop in the six constituent stocks, was set to become the largest bubble of all time over the next few months. And we could see these charts here, and Hartnett followed up this week by noting that while so far tech stocks have seen record inflows as they have emerged as a defensive growth sector of the late market cycle, the big risk is, as in 1998, that credit tremors spread and investors forced to deleverage from risk assets raise cash, while the biggest risks is a quick, deep tech sell-off. Or as Bloomberg's Andrew Sinko put it on Friday, if the times get tough and investors must delever, they will sell what they own. And that those who are rotating to the financials and banks this week and away from tech may simply be trading the frying pan for the fire. And finally, in its Sunday start, what's next in global macro note, Morgan Stanley's chief U.S. equity strategist, Michael Wilson, makes it a trifecta of urgent warnings about the tech bubble. Sorry, Goldman, which Wilson says could face its moment of truth at any moment and without warning. So this is obviously a huge problem that's arising. 617%, that's a huge increase. And at the same time, we see the banks are insolvent. They've never really recovered from 2008. And at the same time as that, all of these major, very centralized social medias and networks, other than maybe Amazon and a few others, are seeing a lot of struggling arising from the past few months, especially with the hearings with Facebook, with the amount of censorship that's coming out, with the amount of people flocking away from it because they're sick of being having their information sold to different countries like China and other places, and the US government, of course. And on top of that, people using information in order to create this crazy profile of a person so that, you know, the government and these major corporations know everything about a person. It's crazy. And it's totally centralized. People are looking at things like Steemit and DTube and other more decentralized social media networks and alternatives. But John, what do you think about all this?
Well, I totally agree with them. It's a complete bubble, and what has really pushed this bubble is all the share buybacks, of course, that have happened. And all the debt that have been accumulated on top of it. Meanwhile, there's not too much new that have happened with places like Facebook or Google now. Like they become a massive monopoly, basically, Google, on any search traffic whatsoever. I remember, having AOL, having a whole wide array of other search engines back in the day, but now there's basically zero of them left. There's DuckDuckGo that you should that we highly suggest. You can stay anonymous, of course. There's alternatives coming up because these monopolies and these control grids that they become has kind of lost its luster of people are starting to see through them. What they really are, they're just corporate monopolies that now are just trying to, they herded everybody into these electronically fenced areas, and now they could just pick you out if they don't like you.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day actually before I saw this article, was that remember between like 2004 and 2008, we just saw such an amount of innovation on the internet. We saw all these huge sites come up. The world changed in that amount of time. It was unbelievable how much the internet changed from 2004 to 2008. Well, it's been like 10 years and we see other innovations coming out and other ideas, but they come and then they go. We hear about something and then it's gone within a few years, and a lot of big social media networks are included in that. And there's been basically just this monopoly of this ever decrepit social media network like Facebook and, you know, YouTube, which of course, yeah, we host our videos on here. It's a way to reach people outside of our echo chambers with this information. But at the same time, I mean, it hasn't really changed that much. They've gotten rid of the colorfulness of a person's YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel profiles don't look very good anymore. They've gotten rid of the proper algorithm that allowed people to find new material and new people. They took away incentive to monetize within like the first 100 to 1,000 subscribers and 10,000 views, I think. And it's made it very difficult. There's a lot of censorship, and that's exactly what caused people to go to Facebook and YouTube in the first place, was moving away from, you know, these very centralized mainstream media networks that control the narrative. Well, now the narrative continues to be controlled and is by these government-sponsored corporations like Facebook and Google, which have gotten billions of dollars from the government. It's just, it's totally ridiculous, and people are looking at things like DTube and Steemit because there are alternatives out there that are on the blockchain, and the blockchain looks to replace this terribly old-fashioned, antiquated invention.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to touch upon, is the blockchain is the internet 2.0. It's a new version of the internet, and that's where we're going to see, and of course you've seen a lot of innovation already. There's so much more to come, and it's going to completely revolutionize a whole wide array of things. Now, of course, we can't let the government, have this control grid and use it against us, because that's what they really want, is, of course, to use the great new technology against us. You can have it wouldn't be peer-to-peer technology in its sense that blockchain should be right now, and it is in most cases. But they want it basically, like their server to server. So it's like not peer-to-peer anymore, as, you know, the intention was. They want to create a highly centralized version of the blockchain, which they can, devastatingly control the whole world and put you into a massive sleep. And now, of course, Facebook and others are very highly, for using the blockchain for that kind of stuff. So they're, hopping on the bandwagon, trying to, implement their type of, versions, which are, of course, highly centralized. But I think what we're going to see next is people are, it's still like BitTorrent. Do you think that has, they stopped it by shutting down Napster? No, it's BitTorrents are around. Everybody's using it all.
I haven't heard of Napster for a long time, along with like LimeWire. And, you have to also think about the fact that, there's a good chance, probably 100% likely, that the government created the internet in the first place. They wanted to control that narrative. They wanted to control information. They wanted to be able to take people's identities, be able to track people, etc. Well, it didn't work out very well for them, did it? I mean, people broke free from the mainstream media pyramid on, the whole paradigm on, information, and it worked out against them. So they've been desperately trying to scramble to stop that information flow. And a lot of people claim that, the government created the blockchain. Well, they could have, but it was one of the stupidest things they ever did, because it allowed other people to have decentralized ideas and expand on it with thousands of different currencies and different innovations on the market. So yeah, they create this incredible entity, and then people just use it to create better things that break free from the government and the central banking system. It's a terribly stupid thing for them to possibly try and do. So if they did do it, they are very dumb. It doesn't surprise me. They are usually behind the curve, while other people on the free market are ahead of the curve, and they make the biggest innovations in our lives. They make the world a better place, and people will always intrinsically decentralize. It's part of us as human beings.
Yeah, well, I look at Amazon, for example. I sell my books, unfortunately, on Amazon because it's the easiest way to reach the public. One thing that's very funny, though, is that, of course, with a lot of authors today, like, it's all about having, copyrights and everything and trademarks trademarks and everything. It's just creating a cartel where you can own everything. Like look at Monsanto and all this stuff. With books too, like it's like, do you believe that if you're an author that your book is not gonna like float around for free? Like I was looking at just one page that have my book, for example, for free, and it's like almost 30,000 downloads. He's like, yeah, that's great. You know, I don't care. Like, I make some money on selling somewhat. And, you know, it helps me, you know, being able to put some more good information out there. Yeah. But I'm happy that 30,000 people have reached, you know, and gotten information. That just tells me that there are more and more people out there that, you know, are waking up to this. But I'm going to just touch back upon this tech bubble, of course. I think, you know, with all this debt that have been created, they, of course, have created the collateralized loan obligations now with the corporate debt. And I would be, I think I'm going to do a video soon, Josh. I'm just trying to get time to like gather some content. I've been thinking about trying to find the collateralized loan obligations, how much have been sold to you know, pension funds and so on all around the world, like what was with the collateralized debt obligations that destroyed so many pension funds around the world.
Well, yeah, that's actually something I wanted to get into a bit more too, was on the topic of the bubble that's happening right now, how we see companies like Amazon taking over at the same time as all these other big retailers are going under. And there's a huge bubble there where we see, you know, all these Toys R Us, Sears, Macy's, JCPenney, you know, Target, Kmart, all these massive businesses that are going under right now. All the while we see the rise of Amazon and the sponsoring by the government of Amazon and the amount of money that's going into Jeff Bezos's wallet. And it's just gotten to the point where it's just totally insane. Is that fundamental value really there? It could be. It could be, considering the convenience of it and the amount of things that you could buy on Amazon. It feels great to buy things on Amazon because there's so much to choose from, apart from what it used to be where it was just, you know, books and maybe movies or something. It has become an incredible thing, an incredible tool, very centralized and very monopolistic, where they actually buy companies' products in like tens of thousands and then sell it for way less than the company usually sells it for individually to make a huge profit off of that. And fine, the free market that's totally fine. But it is going to be causing a problem over the next several years as they've gotten this massive favorship from the state, which has allowed them to prop themselves up above everyone else, cut all competition out of the markets. And then we see these massive businesses that are giant conglomerates going under. That's a huge force to be reckoned with, and that all coincides with the banking system going down, with the monetary system going down, and the stock market, which is absolutely insane, which we've gone into countless times before. All this euphoria, this investor confidence, but no fundamental reason for it to continuously go up forever, and all these people thinking it'll go up forever. That's where you get a shoe shine boy situation going back to 1929, where a famous, a very well-known investor got his shoe shined every day, and the shoe shine boy started giving him investment advice. So he ran to his office and told his advisor to sell every single thing that he had. And he got out of the market, and within about a week and a half, 2 weeks after, the whole market crashed. So there's obviously a big bubble there, and it's starting to get pretty concerning.
Well, yeah, it was the same as in China. You saw, you know, everybody like banana salesmen sat on their computers like trading stocks. It's the same kind of thing in China. They had a massive stock bubble there, and they still are on the verge of some like a huge debt bubble because they gotten so much. And that's the thing. Like when you look at Amazon, for example, it's all this debt that they've accumulated over time. The consumers now, they don't really have too much more debt to put left on their credit card, so they can't pay and get a whole bunch of these toys or whatever it is. So that's why a lot of them are also going bankrupt, on top of, you know, the monopolist Amazon taking advantage of that and buying up the scraps for next to nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would be your bottom line for this report regarding this coming tech bubble? And, you know, a big reminder from the past, folks, we've been through this before, but what would be your bottom line?
Well, the bottom line would be that I think about 80% drop.
Yeah.
No, seriously, the bottom line is that all these companies, when you look at them, the only way they make money is by mostly taking, I'm not talking about, I'm leaving Amazon out for now, but the social media companies like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all these kind of like tech companies that have grown up is by selling ads. That's how they make all their money. And that's, of course, of YouTube. I forgot YouTube. Well, that's in a Google. But that's how they make their money. And there's not too much fundamental value. And it's totally fine, like selling ads on your platform. But I think what people have seen is that there's a more and more anger towards the controlling of speech and all this stuff that have happened with these big conglomerates. So I think they're in for a huge hit when the masses really wakes up to what a scam they are.
I have an alternative for that. Steam and EOS smart media tokens. Folks, check it out. Very incredible innovation, great alternative to having to deal with ads. I think there's a reckoning coming, and that reckoning is going to happen regardless of what people think of it. Exactly. And it just comes down to us as individuals being self-sustainable, responsible, financially responsible, understanding, being educated, and of course understanding that the difference between a centralized and decentralized blockchain and centralized and decentralization, period. A blockchain that is centralized can enslave humanity. A blockchain that is decentralized can overthrow that which enslaves humanity. It all depends on the individual demand of you, the individual, a well-educated public.
Yeah, don't let your portfolio get fanged and bleed to death.
Yeah, absolutely. Let it be a warning. Of course, this is our opinion, not financial or investment advice. The fundamentals are off the table due to the level of manipulation in the markets as well as the monetary system. So you can't put a date on it, but you know it's going to happen. And for that reason, it's best that you understand it and be prepared. Thanks for going into this with us, John. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth,
be the change.
Like what you see here, WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized and censored by YouTube as the ADL comes in and flags all of our content as hate speech. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also find us at steemit.com at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in Steem, the cryptocurrency. And also find us at the Red Pill Expo, which we have a reference link for below in the description and the comments as well. Hosted by G. Edward Griffin, amazing speakers coming out to speak this year. Don't miss it. It's in Spokane, Washington, June 21st to 23rd. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.